With me right now this morning is Bob Sinche of Lily Pond Capital for a look at some big moves in currencies these last few days. You know, Bob, there is no rest for the weary when it comes to the currency market. Look at the yen, the euro, the Swiss franc. We've all seen some significant moves. What stands out for you the most when you look at the currency market overall?
Well, I think a couple things stand out. One, with respect to the Chinese yuan, you know, it hasn't moved very much since the Chinese announced greater flexibility. One thing we have noticed, however, is that it does tend to move now with other currencies versus the dollar. So on days when the euro is moving, we'll see the Chinese currency move also. The euro gets stronger, Chinese currency gets stronger, and vice versa. So we're actually starting to see, if you look at it statistically, some meaningful correlation between movements in the euro against the dollar and the Chinese yuan. And that tells us the Chinese really are, I think, starting to look more at a basket approach to their currency rather than pure dollar peg.
Those folks who know the Chinese and have worked with Chinese officials say, you know, let them do it in their own time, that's the most effective way to do it. What do you think? Or should we be a harder hand and push them a little bit more to move more proactively, if you will, on their currency?
Well, I'm not sure we have a hand that we can bluff with very well.
Now.
I'm not sure we can push too hard, and I think we're seeing that out of Treasury. I think Secretary Geithner understands that. Certainly we are seeing the Chinese take a greater leadership role in a lot of areas, but I think they look back at what happened to Japan after Japan let their currency go under pressure from the U.S. 15 years ago, and decided that's not a really good outcome. So I think they're going to go at their own pace. They're showing some good economic leadership. Certainly the global growth has been helped by China in the last year or so. So I think they feel pretty comfortable with what they're doing. You
know, economic leadership and the economy is overall so important in terms of a country's currency. Who do you think is in the best position right now and has the strongest currency, let's say, for the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, I think the Chinese are in the best position. Whether they let that be manifest in a stronger currency or not is a different story. But certainly, you see the movement toward the East. You see the movement towards Asia. And the question will be how quickly that gets reflected in the value of their currencies.
Bob, you mentioned Japan earlier and the problems there. We also talked with Treasury Secretary Geithner about the yen. He wouldn't comment on the prospects for any kind of Japanese intervention when it comes to the currency, but he's talked about how they're working through some difficult problems. We know that. Do you expect some kind of intervention by Japanese officials when it comes to the yen?
You know, I think that if it starts to move very rapidly, they probably will try to step in. You know, it's an interesting phenomenon going on in Japan right now, right? They have their biggest export market is China. China's actually been in now diversifying their reserves, and one of the things they've been doing is buying yen, which pushes up the value of the yen. So the Japanese are also kind of caught in a situation where they don't want to upset their biggest export market now. So a lot of dynamics going on, and at the middle of those, you generally find China.
So what does that mean? No, you don't think that they're going to do some kind of intervention, or what?
I think they will do intervention if the currency moves quickly toward 80.
Right.
Right now, actually, if I was forced to do one thing or the other on dollar yen, I'd actually buy dollar yen rather than sell it at these levels.
You would. What's the outlook for the dollar overall?
You know, I don't think there's a big movement coming in the dollar. You know, we have a lot of economic uncertainties. The trade numbers are a little bit better today. Claims numbers okay. The question is there any visibility for U.S. interest rates to move higher and push the dollar with it? That looks like it's pretty far off.
5 seconds, your favorite currency at this point? Favorite currency play?
I think right now we'd probably take a few long dollar positions against the yen just because the market's so one-sided the other way.
All right, got it. Bob, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bob Sinche joining us here on In the Loop.